Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Joined by Toni Sanders, who is in Louisville, Kentucky, but based in Houston, Texas, financial literacy expert, one of the top in the country right now. And we're recording this for our seniors here at Velma Jackson High School, and also our friends at Ridgeland High School, Madison Central High School, Germantown High School, and for our YouTube channel as well. And we have the handouts here that you sent us. Great information. And if you want to share your screen, you can as well. I'll let you
Absolutely.
talk about your background and all the things that these kids need to know planning for their financial futures.
Well, awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Greg. I really appreciate you reaching out. Hey, you guys, today starts the first day, not just of April, not just my birthday month, but it's National Financial Literacy Month. I absolutely love this month. So again, my name is Toni Sanders. I am a certified financial education instructor. I'm also a licensed financial professional, and I am a registered Social Security analysis. But don't worry about all those titles. What I want to do is I want to just share some information with you so that you can be able to make better, sound financial decisions as it regards to money. You know, I can tell you a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Akron, Ohio. See, I grew up with a mother, Greg, who had 4 kids by the age of 25, just limited education, but she did the best that she could possibly do. So for me, I wanted to make sure that when I had a family, that I wanted to make sure that they understood money, how money works, that we talked about, retirement. We talked about the legacy of it all, and, home buying and savings and budgets. And these things are not always discussed. And even, Greg, as you know, there's only 4 states and now 5 that are even mandated by the government to be able to offer financial literacy. Florida is the most recent state that says, hey, look, these kids need to have personal finance before going into a higher education or even before graduating high school. So to all my seniors out there, look, I want you guys to learn. I want you guys to know this. I have a couple of books, Greg, that I don't know if I sent you the PDF copies, but I want you to get them to the students, and I want them to be able to read and understand money and how money works. And one is our proprietary book. It's called Saving Your Future. It's about 86 pages of the basic principles of financial education. And then you can also allow the kids to get on and take the free workshops. I believe that it will just really change their lives. So with that being said, I know it's a mouthful, but I want to go ahead and share my screen with you guys and just share some statistics and share some things that I think that will help them along their journey. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully all of this will come up really good. Can you see it?
I do.
Okay, perfect. So let me just go back here, and I just like this, and I really appreciate you taking the time to even, say, hey, look, the kids need to really know about this, and this is something that I'm very passionate about to make sure that all kids. So let's just talk about, the future of Black American financial literacy. Like I said, I'm not the only one who grows up and, we don't get to talk about money. It's something that's not discussed at the dinner table. But I want you to know that the financial literacy, wellness, and resilience among African Americans, it's really, really, we need to do a lot of work, and so this month, though it's celebrated, is something that I do 365 days a year, not just in the African American community, but I believe that every community deserves financial education. It says financial well-being of Black American, it literally lags in the US, the population as a whole, like I said, everybody deserves it. Everybody needs to be educated. Financial literacy is contributing to the factor, to the gap. We always talk about the have and the have-nots and that wealth gap that we're trying to, condense down. And this is one of the reasons, is because people don't have the proper education and the proper understanding in regards to money. See, it's a new system of financial education and literacy. You have access to the top products and everything that's out there. Like I said, I did not have the materials that the kids are so privy to today. So So I want the students to be able to take advantage of them and have the resources that they need to make better decisions. So let's talk about it. What is financial literacy? The knowledge of understanding and enables the sound decision making and the effective management of personal finances. So, this is where, people need to understand about money. Students don't know because their parents don't know, and it becomes a generational problem. So how do we fix that? Well, let's stop it here. It only takes one person, Mr. Greg, just one person to learn financial education, and then it's a snowball effect. I like to consider it as running a race. So maybe perhaps if we had a baton and we're running this race, and you're just going to pass that baton on to the next generation. It's just as easy as that. So just one person that it takes. So when we're talking about financial well-being that follows financial literacy, that's the core principle of what needs to happen. So on average, Black American adults, when we did a survey, they only answered about 38% of the personal financial questions correctly, out of 100. So that's 62% that was answered incorrectly. I said, wow, that's such a large number of people who don't know. And even, the ones who answered correctly, just 0 to 7, 32%, 8 to 14, 41%, 23% was 15 to 21. But look at the number of people, the percentage of questions that weren't answered incorrectly. So the basics, just understanding the basic of how money works really makes a difference. It's life-changing. You can make better informed decisions if you have the information. See, I believe that knowledge is power, but it's the application of knowledge which is even more powerful. So let's talk about this, the keys, that the areas that were really measured when doing this. We talk about the wages and the take-home pay, budgeting and managing and spending. This is why it's so needed in school. Our students need to start this now while they're young. They're working, summer jobs, they're working weekend jobs, they're working after school. They need to understand this information. The savings factor and maximizing accumulations. How do they make their money grow? They just don't want to have a little bit. They want to accumulate wealth. Investment types and risk and returns and borrowing and managing debt and all the different types of life insurance and how they work. One thing that I tell people all the time is that we don't have to be a product of our environment. We can do better. It just takes that, just wanting to learn, wanting to have an open mind and making a decision that you want to do better for you and your family. And each area, Black Americans answer at least less than half of the index questions correctly. Now, so I'm going to skip over some of this because I want to give them some principles and some things that they can truly use and that they can have some takeaways. So when they're listening to this and you play it back and you share with all the students, I want them to understand that they too can build wealth, that they too can leave a legacy of generational wealth by just taking a few concepts and applying them to their lives, And I talk about the financial foundation quite a bit, is building that financial foundation. It's like sitting in a chair. You have to have the 4 legs, right? Or if one of the legs is missing, it's not stable. And so we're going to fall. And so even with your finances, you want to make sure that the foundation is built properly. One thing about the financial foundation, I see a lot of people, they're jumping into like investing. Well, that's the top of the house. That's the roof, right? You got to build it from the ground up. You've got to have some proper protection. You have to have, your emergency fund, debt management, and then the roof is going to be your investments. But a lot of people, they do it out of order. And I tell them all the time, you've never seen a house built with the roof on first. You have to build it from the ground up. Then let's talk about wealth building. The biggest question people ask me is, Toni, how do I build wealth? And I want you guys to write this down. So building wealth, it's the easy and simple concept, but you just have to apply it. See, younger people, it only takes a little bit of money because you have so much time. But if you take a person like myself, well, I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me. So it takes a lot more money because I have less time. So the formula is going to be, and you can write this down, you have to have money. How much money depends on how much time you have. You have to have time. That time is a big factor. Time is equivalent to money. Young people, take advantage of time. Then of course you have to have a positive rate of return, or the interest. The interest is what makes your money make money. But don't forget about taxes and inflation, right? That's what we call silent killers. It kills the ability to build wealth. So let's do it again. You got to have money, you got to have time, a positive rate of return minus inflation and taxes. But the beauty about our students, to all my seniors that are listening, guess what? You have nothing but time, and time is equivalent to money. Let me show you how it works. So there's also a rule called the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is a mathematical formula that was created to tell you and show you how money works. You simply take the number 72, you divide it by the interest rate, and the answer is going to tell you how long it takes for your money to double. So you're saying, oh my goodness, Toni, show me, tell me more, right? So let's just say I gave each student, each senior, a $10,000, right? Okay. And I tell them to go put it into their savings account. Mr. Greg, I'm going to show you how it works, right? They take that $10,000 and they put it into their savings account. Hey, the banks only pay us less than 0.5%. So just for illustration purposes only, let's just assume that the bank gave us 1%. Let's do some math. So 72 divided by 1 is 72 years. Our students don't have 72 years. Most of them are 17 and 18, maybe just had a birthday, going to have a birthday. They do not have 72 years to wait for that money to double. So they have to understand the formula to understand, okay, look, I need to be able to get more interest and put my money in a place where my money can double multiple times in my lifetime. But that rule can work for you, but it can also work against you. How does it work against you? Don't you guys dare go to college and sign up for all those credit cards just to get a t-shirt or get something. Don't do that. That's bad, right, Mr. Greg? Extreme because let me tell you, yes, let me tell you what's going to happen to you, right? I have clients right now today who have been out of college. They're working their careers, they have their families, and they're still paying credit card debt. Don't do it. Do not do it. Because let me tell you, that rule of 72, it works for you, but it also works against you, because compounding interest also works on that debt, right? So let's just assume that you had a credit card and it was 18% interest. Every 4 years, your credit card balance is doubling. Young people, don't do it. Spend less and save more. Don't increase your lifestyle, increase your savings. You save money today, money will save you later. And this is why it's so important. You know, I'm so excited to be on here today because I want young people to understand that you guys are the future. You guys can learn and apply this information to your lives so that your future can be very, very bright.
Yeah, and and I'm no financial expert, but you talk about spending, you know, the old phrase is we spend money we don't have for things we don't need to impress people we don't like.
Absolutely. That is key right there. And nobody really cares. And let's talk about this, Mr. Greg. Let's tell the students, social media is just reality. It's like a reality show. It's not real. Don't think about people putting things out there and everything that they're doing, all the places they're going, the clothes that they're wearing, all the money that they're spending. It's not real. Don't be impressed by the simple things of social media. If I can leave you with anything, I can tell you, I know the young people probably like Instagram, but I'm an old Facebooker, right? But I don't call it Facebook, seniors. I call it fake book. It's not real. Mr. Greg, it is not real. And so I want people to understand that. But you too, you can build something very strong, even at a very young age. You know, even young people, you apply these principles, you don't have to work years into retirement. You know, there's a lot of people right now who won't be able to retire. And let me just tell you guys what the statistics are looking like for our young people. They're saying that the younger generation, Mr. Greg, they're going to need $2 to $2.5 million to retire. And every time I hear that number, it's very alarming to me, but I can understand it because everything is constantly going up. Taxes, inflation, the cost of living Inflation has really skyrocketed since, this pandemic. And I ask people, it's different when you and I were coming up, but these kids now, they're going to have to work 10 times harder.
Yeah, and again, and again, I'm no expert, but I also know when it comes to the retirement savings, if you have a job where they're matching any amounts, if you don't put in the maximum amount that they'll match, I think you're absolutely crazy. Just to have, instead of having, a little bit more in your paycheck every month, I'd rather retire a couple years sooner, just because I was able to put that away in my company. Well, in my case, the state of Mississippi matches up to a certain amount. If you don't put that in, that's free money.
Yeah, that's free. That's what we call free money. But let's talk about that too. So as long as they match, that's great. I tell clients that's free money, right? You always want to get free money, but be very careful because you bring up a good point. Let's talk about what's in the blue book that I sent you. Tax now, tax later, and tax advantage. So your tax now is going to be your checking, savings, your mutual funds, your stocks. That's where we're paying taxes. We're claiming on our income taxes, right? Now, our tax later or tax deferred. It's just like student loans, you guys. You don't have to pay it now, but you still have to pay it later in the future. So what's in that tax later or that tax deferred column? That's going to be your 401ks, your IRAs, your 403bs, your 457s. Those are all employee sponsored retirement vehicles, even your annuities and your pensions. But let me tell you something, young people. When you're in those vehicles, you do not own all the money. What do you mean, Toni? It's my money. Well, yeah, it is your money. But you share that pot with 4 places. Number 1, you share with the market because the market is going to go up and the market is going to go down. No one has control over that. Past performances doesn't equal future results. Number 2, you share with fees. Nobody manages your money for free. Then let's talk about the third one. Inflation. The money we save today, it's not going to have the same purchasing power later. And then, of course, Mr. Greg, we're all related. Uncle Sam, when we put our money into those vehicles, let me tell you something, we still have to pay the taxes later. But the question is, how much taxes will we have to pay? That hasn't yet been determined. So you are absolutely right about if your company is able to match, you want to match it. And then I want to say this. I see so many young people and so many, older people who never took advantage of their employer-sponsored vehicles. Please, you're going to retire one day. You're not going to be able to work for the rest of your life. You want to set up something for your future. So when you decide, I want to relax, I want to, just kind of take it easy. Now, I've worked for 30, 40 years. When those checks stop coming in, you've got to be able to get that money from somewhere. And most people, Mr. Greg, they're not paying attention to that. They're not planning properly. So I want our young people, hear me and hear me well. Save your money. The goal is not to ever save the least amount of money. You always want to save the most. If you save that money today, it will definitely save you later.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that is the biggest thing. So if we could just go through some of these, and I'm just going to kind of quickly go through here. I'm not even going to share some of these with you because it's just the statistics. I want the kids to know that, you can change it. Anything can be changed. Behavior can be changed. And so even if you've never learned about money, you've never talked about money, if you were like me, and it's just not we don't talk about it at the dinner table, you too can get educated. You all are seniors. You're whether you're going into the workforce, going into the service, maybe you're going to collegiate, you're going to higher education. You need to know this information because one day you're going to start making more money than you ever made before. And I want each and every one of you to be able to look back and say, you know what? I can remember Mr. Greg and Mr. Toni just sharing a few concepts with us, and they really changed my life. They really stuck to me, and I really applied those principles to my life, and I saw my life change. And I want you to read. I want you to understand that, they put these materials because this is not foreign information. This is nothing new. It's always been here, but they put it in a book. And guess what? Unfortunately, people don't read, Mr. Greg.
Oh, yeah. What I know.
Yeah. They don't read it. So I want you to read the materials that's giving. This is just one of the books, How Money Works. I love this book, Stop Being a Sucker. It's definitely a great read, especially for students. There's a lot of characters and things in there. And maybe we could do some giveaways or something, and I can send some more packets to you and you can do it for the kids. I think that would be great, because I want these kids to be, really diverse when it comes to financial literacy, financial education. Don't just do it for April. Don't just do it for Financial Literacy Month, but do it for the rest of your life. Allow it to be a lifestyle in your family, and then be the change that you want to see. Educate someone else, bring somebody else along the journey with you, teach them what you know. And then that's how we're going to change the community as a whole. That's how we're all going to learn, and we're all going to grow. So it says, could help provide a measurable quality of life, the difference in increasing financial opportunity and financial confidence, financial success, regardless of income level. I don't care where you are right now. That's not your final destination. That's not your final destination. You have a whole new world out there just waiting on you to make a huge difference, not only in your life and your family's life, but in our community and in our country. You guys are the next generation. You're the next leaders. You're the next CEOs and CFOs. It's you. You're the ones that's going to carry us on to that next. Because you know what? One day, Mr. Greg's going to have to retire, and somebody's going to come and be that next great teacher. One day I'm going to retire. Somebody's going to come along and be that next financial professional and that financial educator. And it's somebody that's listening to us right now that's going to make the difference. Something is going to be said in someone's life. And you know what they're going to say, Mr. Greg? That's what I want to do. I never knew until I heard the information. For me, this was life-changing. I never even knew that I had it in me, to even become anybody in the financial service industry. Being a child of, coming from very humble beginnings, I was like, oh, wow. But you can be anything that you want to be. You can do anything that you want to do with a made-up mind. You can do it. You can definitely do it. So I'm just going to share just a little bit more, because I think it's very important for the students to understand that the median household income among Black Americans, now this was 2 years ago, is only $35,400. I don't know what the cost is in Mississippi, but let me tell you, it's not very far off. I think the average overall is about $50,000, but the income is not going as much as the inflation is not able to even keep up. But the Black American household net worth is only about $17,600, and that's 19% had a zero or negative net worth. That's what I want to talk about, Mr. Greg. I need people to really to understand that, again, maybe this is where we are right now, but this is not where we have to be.
Yeah, and you're right, because a lot of that is generational. We are a rural Black community, and the education hasn't always been there. Our
Right.
kids' grandparents weren't afforded the same opportunities they've gotten. A lot has changed in the country since then, but it's always tell them all the time, you can change the narrative because you're getting this information now. I mean, just because your grandparents didn't have it, and it's not fair and it's not right, but we all know it's true. But you can get the information now and change this entire statistic.
That's it right there, Mr. Gray. It wasn't available. The resources weren't available. But now, today in 2022, the resources are available. You can be the change that you want to be. That's what I decided to do. It's all about making a decision, students. You don't like the way those numbers look? Do something about it. It's up to you. Don't be one of those people who just complain about, oh, no, it's me, oh, woe is no. You have the same opportunity. Matter of fact, you guys have more. You know why? We didn't have the luxury of the internet. We didn't have the luxury of, the social media and all the things that you guys have access to. Use it for good, not for bad. Use it to change your life. You want to go in a different direction. You want to change the narrative that's happening in the community. You want to create some generational wealth. You want to change those numbers? Because see, I want to change those numbers. That's what I work for every single day. That's why I travel the world, to make sure that people can hear me and understand what's going on. And you do not have to be, you're not the product of your environment. You're not.
Absolutely.
I'm not that. I knew, Mr. Greg, I knew it in my heart that there was something bigger and better for me. But I also understand the responsibility of, once I learned, now I have to be able to go out and teach other people.
That's awesome.
I'm not a winner unless my whole community is winning.
Yeah.
And my community is not winning. And so it's up to me to change it and let them know that the resources are available and that they can do better. And all it takes is a made up mind and a decision that I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better for me, my family, my community, for our country. And if we all work together, what a difference we can make. That's why I'm so proud to be a part of our financial literacy campaign. We're going to educate 30 million families by the year of 2030. We've already educated almost 1.9 million, almost just shy of 2 million people. I absolutely love the fact that no matter where you come from, you can too. You can be whoever you want to be. You can be as big or as small as you want to be. Don't ever allow anybody to say that you can't, because you can.
Absolutely.
Can't is not in our vocabulary. Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that, it touches me when I see it, because I know it's just a number, but that number can change. Not knowing how money works, it costs Americans more than $415 billion in 2020.
Wow.
Mr. Greg, you and I both know, and the students know. They know numbers. These are seniors. We're talking to the big ones, right? 415 billion. Knowing, not knowing will cost you.
Wow.
It costs a lot of money. Yes, sir. This is why it's such a problem. And it's all over. This is a global problem. This is a problem all over. Based on the PFIN survey, the US population data, there are more than 27 million Black Americans who are financially illiterate.
Wow.
And they need to know how money works. So again, Mr. Greg, I thank you. I thank you for having me on. I want this to be an ongoing relationship, that we can get these students some materials and get them the books and things that they need so that they can have a successful future financially, so they can have the knowledge they need to make better decisions in regards to money. Because most of the time, you know what? People make decisions because they don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't have any clue.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like we said before, in being a rural Black community, again, it's not that, we're a hardworking blue collar community. We got great families, but it's like you said, the opportunities were not there.
Right.
And that's, it's sad, and it's not right. But like you said, the opportunities for some of our older individuals was never there. So that narrative has changed, and these kids can really change that entire trend.
Absolutely. And you know what? It only takes one. And I don't think that it cannot change. Be the change that you want to see. That's what you have to do. That's what I did. And if I can do it, you guys can do it too. And I'm not done. I'm just getting started.
Absolutely.
Because I see a need, and I see all the financial problems, and I have the financial solutions. See, a lot of things that's happening in our world today, it has to stem, in my opinion, a lot with economics, between the haves and the have-nots. See, people say, oh, Toni, money isn't everything. And I agree. But tell that to someone who doesn't have it. Tell that to someone who's really trying to make it and really trying to make ends meet. So if we could just make a few adjustments, and this needs to be in our school systems. This has to be. We're talking about it's 2022 and we still don't teach enough of personal finance. And I can tell you, even at the collegiate level, they do not teach personal finance. To all the accountants and things like, they teach business finance. You can manage the business books, but I can tell you guys from my own, you can't even manage your own money. So some things have to change. So yes, we're on this mission and we're going to stamp out. We're just going to erase, the illiteracy everywhere so families can dream again. We just want families to be happy about living and doing the things that they want to do. And so I'm excited to share everything. I'm going to send you guys some more materials. These are just some things that we go through when we're talking about it. But yeah, everybody needs to know how money works. Everybody. So I want to make sure that I get some materials to the students. Again, we're going to educate and we're going to just stamp out and eradicate financial illiteracy. And together, we're going to close this financial literacy gap.
Then it even goes really simple with this handout you send us. It's extremely useful and it's just some eye-popping numbers, but it's it's very doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the flyer. Yes, I recently just did that with another group of kids with a sorority, and I want you guys to do that in the classroom. Mr. Greg, I want you to I'm going to send you a link and you can get as many as you want as an educator. I partner up with Houston Money Week here locally, and the Federal Reserve Bank, they give out great little games and booklets and things that you can order for the students so they can have, because I want them to know how to budget. And I want them to know how to, the lifestyle that they're going to live. And if you look on there, it's like a reality check. So when I'm doing that with the students, I absolutely love that. That is something that you have to do in person with the kids and really show them how to budget, what kind of career you want, what kind of lifestyle you want to lead, and how much it's going to cost you. So yeah, I'm glad that you received those. And if you need any more, I'll definitely send you the link so that you can be able to share that with the kids. It's something that every household needs to do. The kids need a reality check. They need to know. You remember, like when we were growing up, our parents say, money don't grow on trees. And so they need to know what it's going to cost them and what it costs for their parents to really, provide for them.
Yeah. And the first, these seniors also had me in 9th grade as well. And their first day of high school, I always show them the Bill Cosby video where he gets the Monopoly money out talking to Theo. And as silly and funny as that clip is, it actually makes a whole lot of sense about,
it's a whole lot of sense.
You want this certain lifestyle, but you have to be able to plan for it. And you have to look at how budgeting works as an adult in America. And it's even though we do laugh
Absolutely.
at it, it's extremely true, even still today.
Absolutely. And I'll tell even the kids. So for all my seniors who are working, don't spend all of your money. Okay. I want you to live on 70% of that. So if you get $100, you're going to save 30 and the other $70, guess what? That's what you're going to live off of. And if you cannot live within those means, that means you're living above your means. And so you got to scale back, you got to budget, and you got to put it in perspective and live your life like that. And I promise you will thank us later.
Yeah. And it's amazing how used you can get to doing without things.
Oh yes.
With technology today, it's amazing how easy it is to adjust things and adjust budgets. And then you realize a lot of things you didn't even miss.
Absolutely.
And I'm a novice, I'm not a financial expert by any means. But I do have a couple of questions from the students I want to get to, but I did want to talk about on a couple of things that you talked about at the beginning. And especially in the Black community. And you hit on this, these credit card companies prey on first generation college students. They prey on the people, like we said, it's not that they're dumb. It's not they don't mean well, but some of them just haven't been educated.
Right.
But how important is that to not fall into that trap of, it's a free giveaway, or you're at Academy Sports or Dillard's and they're like, hey, you can get 20% off today. How important is it to stay away from those type of temptations? Because I don't know how it's legal, honestly, because that's got to be one of the biggest rackets.
Absolutely. It really is. And I want the students to know is that keep in mind, you're a student. You don't have a job. There's no means for you to pay for that, and you don't need it. You've been able to go this long without and continue to just live below your means. And if you can live below your means and just do not get those credit cards, The interest rate is high. And if you remember the rule of 72, and it's going to keep growing and growing and growing. And next thing you know, you're going to get out of college and you're going to start your career, and everything is based on your credit. Okay. Sometimes even your job, your insurance, everything takes a toll. And now you've wanted this little small limit, and now you started off, let's say you started off with a $500 limit, and next thing you know, you owe thousands of dollars back because of interest. Do not do it. Live below your means. Buy what you need, not what you want. Let me repeat that. Buy what you need, not what you want. It is not in your best interest to do it. Okay. I don't care what they tell you. Tell them no. I remember what Miss Toni and Mr. Greg said. Do not do it, because it's going to damage you, and it's going to follow you for a very long time. For a very long time. If you're working, work towards what you want. Write it out. Save a little bit of money, and everybody needs a budget. The simplest thing, there's a lot of apps that you all could get, and it will teach you how to budget on your phone. Or if you're like me, just go old school. Write down everything that you're doing, all the money that you're spending, write it down. All the money that you have coming in and going out, write it down, so that you can be accustomed to, oh, you know what? This is just a habit. You build up that habit of budgeting, build up that habit. Every single month, your budget will change every single time. Write it down, and you will see exactly where your money is going. A budget is not restrictive. It's just telling your dollars where to go. Give your dollars an assignment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We work too hard.
Not restrictive. That is absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
it is not restrictive.
On Wednesday, we had a local vice president of a bank here in Mississippi, mm-hmm. and he told us about how banks work and banking services. And Avi, and I'm sure you know this as well, another issue in rural communities, and this is not just the Black community and white communities as well, but in rural communities is the mistrust of the financial institutions. My grandparents didn't do that, so I don't need to do that. And these kids, they want to use the Cash App and the Venmo and all that stuff. And there's a place for that, because I even myself at 40 years old, I use Cash App in certain situations for, personal purchases. But how important is it to get away from that type of stuff and really focus on the real insured financial institutions to grow your money? The Cash App should not be your first go-to when it comes to checking how much money you have.
Right. One thing, Cash App doesn't give interest. And even though the banks is low interest, you want to have your money in a reputable place. Don't go old school. I know our grandparents and parents, they didn't trust a lot of institutions. But now you can't have your money under the mattress. You cannot have your money in the freezer. You cannot bury your money in the backyard. Remember what I said about interest. You want to make sure that your money is making money at all times. And if it's in the freezer, if it's under the mattress, anything could happen. The house could catch on fire. The house could, whatever the case may be, and then you lose it. If somebody breaks into the house, there's so many different scenarios that I can tell you that people have literally came to me and said, this happened to me and I didn't have a plan. You got to have a plan, and you have to save your money. You have to save it in a bank. You have to. Get away from that old mind and that old thinking of, Cash App and these things are great just for if you and your friends are going out, you maybe need to split a ticket or something Absolutely. Like that. But it's not a financial institution.
Yep, 100%.
You need a bank account. Yep. Now I will say this, Mr. Greg. No, a bank is not a place for you to build wealth, but you do need a relationship with a bank.
Yep.
Build that relationship with a bank. And then you work on your credit and things like that. And when you need a business loan, see, Cash App is not going to give you a business loan. Venmo is not going to give you a business loan. They're not going to do a mortgage for you. They're not going to, you're not going to be able to get a car through those places. So building that relationship with a banking institution is very important. Now, my personal suggestion, I love credit unions.
Yep.
Open up an account in a credit union.
And a lot of employers, a lot of state and federal employers offer that. I know we have a large federal credit union for postal employees here in Jackson. And also military members have access to credit union. We have a couple that are going to the military when they graduate, and that is something they'd be able to access. And they have it's all over the country, all over the world where that money would be safe, and they'd be able to access it anywhere in the world without any fees.
I highly recommend it. I'm personally speaking. I highly recommend a credit union, a place, especially if you have access to that. You can literally open up an account. It was as low as like 10, 20 bucks. You all have it. You guys spend it. I know you spend it. You spend that kind of money. You say you don't have it, but when I look back and see how much did you spend today, how much was lunch, how much you're going to spend the weekend. And I'll tell you this, it's the first of the month, Mr. Greg. We all have to do a budget, even our students. Just because it's the weekend, don't blow your budget. It's only 2 days. You still got all next week that you have to go through.
Oh, I'm with you. Now, and then I have one other one before I get to a couple from the students is, with the rising educational cost, which is getting absolutely out of control. And I think it's at an epidemic level. How important is it to really focus on these degrees that you actually need instead of just going to this fancy college because you want to? Because the student loan debt problem in this country is just getting absolutely out of control. And again, preying on first generation college students, preying on minority students. And it is the very easy trap to fall into, just to say you have a degree and you might not even need it to do what you want to do.
Absolutely. So let me say this. I absolutely love what I do. I'm a former hairstylist of 20 years.
Oh, cool.
I owned and operated 2 salons, a day spa and a boutique, and was very successful. You don't need a college degree, not a lot of funding for that. Find something that you love to do and get paid to do it. Don't go to a fancy school when you can, save on that cost. Mr. Greg is absolutely right. College debt has surpassed automobile and credit card debt. It is a major problem in our country, okay? So when you're considering a university, first and foremost, we have an amazing college planning program, Mr. Greg, and I'll definitely send some information out to the students because there's so many resources that are available. When you're choosing your school, make sure that you're choosing a school that offers the funding for what you want to do. If you want to go to nursing, don't go to an engineering school. You have to go to a school of nursing because they're giving money for nursing. If you're going to be an engineer, go to a school that specializes in engineer. The government literally gives them resources for you to take advantage of, for you to do that. You don't have to really take out a lot of, loans. There's a lot of grants out there. There's a lot of scholarships out there, but you have to apply and you have to have access to the resources. And please, just listen. I want you guys to really listen, because if you want a really great start, I don't want you being like some of the people that I come across, okay? And these adults, they've gone to all these fancy schools and they rack up all of this debt, this college debt, and they can't even find a job for the paper that it's written on. I call it an expensive receipt.
Exactly. And now one thing Mississippi does do a great job of, and I know Texas does as well, is our community college program is very well utilized, and it offers some unbelievable career paths, even in 1 and 2 year programs that, with, especially in these technology fields. I've had technological field guests that say, look, we're more worried about somebody having the skills and a certification than we are somebody having a degree in computer science.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that it's going back to, like even in financial services, before you had to have a degree. Well, not anymore. I don't have a marketing degree. I don't have a business degree or a finance degree, but I'm still in financial services and I'm still a 6+ figure earner.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I want the kids to know that there's so many opportunities out there available for you. Now, there are some things that you do have to go. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, a nurse. Yes, you do have to go and you have to take all of the necessary courses and do what you have to do. But for those of you who are choosing a different pathway, start with a community college. It'll save you a lot of money.
Yeah, and then
it's a great place to start.
Is one, a lot of these companies will allow you to go to school part-time and do tuition reimbursement. We have a couple that want to join the military and want to go to college while they're in the service and use the GI Bill. So there are ways you can do that without just jumping right into it and taking out a debt you're never going to be able to pay back.
Absolutely. I love that you said that, because that goes back to what I said. Utilizing the resources that are available. See, a lot of these resources weren't available before, but now you guys can Google, you can look it up. There's so many different things that you can do so that you can save that money and really have a better start to your future. You don't have to start your life off with debt. You don't have to live a life of debt, because it's hard. It's easy to get in, but it's very hard to get out.
Yeah,
Very hard to get out.
it's. I don't think there's a better way to describe how debt works than what you just said. But a couple questions from the students on Monday. We were having a great conversation about the business loan aspect, and starting a business at 18 here in Mississippi. And this question is Kendrick Lindsay. He wanted me to ask this. Is he wants to start an LLC, and he wants to know how hard or what would be your advice in. He wants to have several ventures in it. So how fast would he need to grow this in order to still stay profitable?
And still stay what, Mr. Gregg?
Still stay profitable, because he wants to get in. He wants to get into the music side. He wants to get into the transportation and trucking side as well. But he wants to know how fast would he need to grow that in order to stay profitable.
So I would say this, I like, he has a lot of things on their plate, and they're all in different realms. Start one place, right? And build it up, and then maybe go into something else. And I would definitely say, if he's into music, definitely work on the music side first, because that most of the entertainers, they start very young, right? And then your trucking company, that's something that you can always start, and you can have someone else. You don't always have to be the person that's running it. You can be the owner, and show other people how to do it. I know so many young people who start, businesses while they're young, and just find something that you love to do and get paid to do it. You can have multiple streams of income. I, Toni Sanders, encourage having multiple streams of income. Always have a plan A and a plan B, and a C won't hurt. But you have to think about the music. So you said, Toni, I want to do the music. Okay. I'm pretty sure you're good if you wanted to do this music thing. Make sure you go to a place where the music is going to be. So you're Atlanta, New York, LA, those things where your career is going to take off. Trucking is a very good place to be. And I want to say this to all the ladies too. Ladies, trucking right now for ladies is huge.
Yeah, I have a friend that owns a trucking company in Dallas. She's actually from around here, but her and her husband own a trucking company in Dallas, and they are printing money right now.
Absolutely. When I tell you the market is huge right now for truckers, also for nurses, those are things. So make sure you all do your research. So for the young man who asked about the businesses, yes, you can do multiple businesses. Yes, you can start an LLC, and they will be profitable. But make sure you do your homework, the music first, okay? Because the music career, it may not last as long, but the trucking is going to be forever.
Oh, absolutely. Now this is Isaac Thomas, and he's one of our band students, and he's going to go to community college on a band scholarship, and then figure out things from there. But he's a very talented drummer, and he asked, "What is the best financial advice I could get coming when I leave college, moving into a career?"
To save money in a place that gives you more interest. So the rule of thumb is you want to get 5% or interest or more to outpace taxes and inflation. Even young people, you start saving now. Remember that wealth formula. You save because you have nothing but time, and it's only going to take you a little bit of money. Let me tell you guys this. If you start saving now at your age, at 8% in the next 30 years, you can have $500,000, and that's really starting at 25. So the rule of thumb is 25, you start saving, about $3,600 a year. We're talking about at 8%, that's almost $500,000. So can you imagine if you save $20 a day, and that was just $10 a day, $300 a month. If you save $20 a day at 8% over the next 30 years, so now we're talking about these kids are less than 50 years of age, they're already millionaires.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
But it's not yes, but it's where you save it, knowing your options. You have to know your options. Yeah. And let me tell you something that was never
a person I always
introduced
is Anthony O'Neill. He's a young black guy that may be able to. I think he can relate to the young people more. But you hear him say the exact same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Save money.
Yep.
And don't just save it in a bank, you guys. You have to save it where you're going to get the interest. Remember, interest is how you make interest. Either you're paying interest or you're making interest. And I want you guys to make interest. That's why we're going to stay away from the credit cards. $10 a day at over 30 years at 8%, that's $500,000.
Wow.
$20 a day at 8% over 30 years, that's $1 million.
Wow.
You guys can be multimillionaires. And one thing that, because I'm a proponent of life insurance, get life insurance now while you're young because it's cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Don't let people tell you you don't need life insurance. Wealth management companies are using life insurance today for building wealth. I was just on the ride over here from Houston to Kentucky. I was just listening to a book, and I'll definitely send it to you. And he talked about how J.C. Penney's and all these major companies, they use cash value life insurance to build their business. When J.C. Penney's was in trouble, they were able to take a loan off of their cash value life insurance and really, they were losing a lot of money during the Great Depression. And they were saying that, hey, how are we going to get our money back? And they remember they had the policy. There were so many great stories that I listened to. Walt Disney, you guys, Master P, he also used, his grandfather had cash value life insurance, and that's how he started his record label. So yeah, that's definitely a place for wealth building now. And a lot of wealth management companies are using it as a tool today. You know why? It's tax free.
Yeah, and just because you get life insurance at 18 doesn't mean you think you're going to die at 19.
No, don't listen to that. That's not what it is. That means that you're smart and you understand money and that you understand your financial foundation. Cost of insurance for life insurance, you buy it now because it's dirt cheap. You buy it now at 18, you're going to be paying the rest of your life for an 18-year-old instead of buying it when you're 48, and then you're going to be paying the cost of a 48-year-old. Exactly. I can't tell you the number of clients who wish they would have bought it when they were younger because they understand that it was so much cheaper.
Absolutely. And that's such great advice. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us. That is one of the best presentations I have ever seen. And we're definitely going to do this again in the future. Just, so much passion by what you say and just so much great advice. But before we go, everybody, like I said, our school and our community is an all Black community, rural, hardworking, blue collar, hearts of gold, just such great people, such great spirits. And the potential here is just amazing, not only on the academic level, but on the financial level as well, with the way they think and the way they work. But you were a young Black girl in Akron, Ohio, and I'm not sure if they know the history of Akron, Ohio. It really had an economic downfall in the 70s and 80s. But yet you've become one of the best speakers I've ever heard about financial literacy. And obviously you're living the life, and you said yourself, you're a 6-figure earner as a Black woman in America. So even
absolutely,
you faced obstacles that they're going to face in life. Being Black in America is hard. I don't care where you are. You faced obstacles as a Black woman. They're going to face obstacles as Black men and women. So what can they do now to prepare themselves for those same obstacles and be just as successful as someone like you?
Stay in school. I want you guys to listen and be respectable, and be coachable. Don't think that you know it all. One thing about I'm always open to learn, because you're never too young to learn. You're never too young to lead. These are things that you can do now. Again, remember what I said. Be the change that you want to see. I want it to be that change. I want to be a resource to each and every one of you. Please reach out to me. You can see I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. But sometimes we need a mentor. Sometimes we need somebody that we can talk to about these things. Perhaps you don't have anybody in your local area that you have questions, or you don't understand something. But the biggest thing that the takeaway that I want you guys to know, that if I can do it, you can do it too. And you deserve it. Your family deserves it. And I want you to work hard, work very hard, and never give up. Don't be a quitter, because you're all winners, and you're going to make it. You can do anything that you want to do. Just make sure you have fun doing it. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Greg.
It was great. It was great to see you. That was an unbelievable presentation. And next time you're in Mississippi, we'd love to have you here.
Hey, you know what? How about if I'm going to have to just plan something? I'm going to have to come just for you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I probably had to be next school year, but that's fine. We'd love to have you. I'll be here again next year.
Awesome. Well, we'll make it happen, and I'll come there, and we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something live for Financial Literacy Month.
That'd be awesome.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Greg. Well, I appreciate you having me. To all the students, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a wonderful Financial Literacy Month, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. See you soon, my friend.
Bye-bye.